Have you ever stopped to think about how some people seem simply perfect? It's as if nothing can shake their image, as if everything was planned to convey success, brilliance, and security. Because that's exactly how the world has always seen Song Joong-ki. Since his debut, he's been placed on an almost untouchable pedestal. Intelligent, charismatic, polite, and possessing a charming smile. It seemed like nothing could go wrong in his career. His remarkable roles in K-dramas not only transformed him into an icon, but also a true role model. For many, he was the epitome of the perfect star, one born to shine and inspire millions of people around the world. But, as you might imagine, no perfection is complete. Behind the cameras, away from the flashbulbs and carefully controlled interviews, there was something he never let slip, a part of his life that remained hidden, kept under lock and key. And we're not talking about an unimportant detail, but something so profound that, had it been revealed at the height of his career, it could have completely changed the way everyone saw him. And that's precisely what makes this story so fascinating. Because while everyone saw only the flawless star, Joong-ki faced silent battles no one could imagine. How did he manage to hide this for so many years? What really lay behind this seemingly unshakable image of perfection? And why did he believe keeping this secret was the only way out? If you're also curious and want to find out what was being hidden from the media for so long, stay with me until the end of this video. You'll be amazed by the details and see Song Joong-ki in a way you've never seen before. So take advantage, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave a like, because what comes next will shock you. If there's one thing that has always caught the eye about Song Joong-ki's career, it wasn't just his remarkable roles or his charisma on camera. What intrigued the media most was precisely his silence, outside the spotlight. While many actors found themselves embroiled in scandals, behind-the-scenes rumors, or controversial statements, Joong-ki seemed to live in a parallel universe, shielded from any kind of negative exposure. It was as if nothing could touch him. But was this perfect image simply a result of luck? Reporters who closely followed his career noticed a curious detail: the way he deflected personal questions in interviews. Always polite, always smiling, but never revealing too much. He didn't discuss sensitive family situations, avoided topics about relationships, and even when asked about difficult times, he changed the subject with impressive skill. For some, this was simply a self-preservation strategy. For others, it was a clear indication that something was being hidden at all costs. And this choice raised even more questions. Why did one of Korea's biggest stars insist on keeping his personal life a mystery? What could be behind this absolute silence? Contrary to what many thought, it wasn't just shyness or discretion. It was a calculated, planned silence, almost like an invisible shield against the press's persistent curiosity. And it was precisely this shield that kept hidden for years, a detail of his life that would shock the entire world if it were to come to light. For years, Song Joong-ki's image seemed unshakable. He was the perfect actor, flawless, admired for his talent and always polite demeanor. But little by little, signs began to emerge. That intrigued even the most observant. Small details, almost imperceptible to the general public, but which caught the attention of those who closely followed his career. In interviews, for example, Joong-ki was always smiling, but there were times when his expression would suddenly change. As soon as someone brought up certain topics, the sparkle in his eyes would disappear. At other times, his answers sounded vague, as if he were dodging the question. For many, this went unnoticed, but for experienced journalists, it was clear. There was something behind that silence. Some reporters even noticed contradictions in his statements. On one show, he said he was going through a calm phase. Weeks later, in another appearance, he let slip that he was facing difficult times. These weren't direct statements, but loose pieces of a puzzle that was only now beginning to come together. These signs, though discreet, fueled a growing mystery. After all, why did an actor so open with his fans seem to keep himself secretive about certain topics? What was he so afraid to reveal? For some, it was simply shyness. For others, it was proof that there was a much deeper truth hidden from the spotlight. And that truth, as it would soon be discovered, was not at all what the media was prepared to hear. Behind his charming smile and world-conquering performances, Song Joong-ki carried something almost no one noticed: an invisible burden. Behind the scenes, those close to him claimed that the actor, even at the height of his success, experienced moments of profound tension. It was as if he had two versions of himself, the one that shone in front of the cameras and the one that, silently, struggled with something that insisted on remaining hidden. Co-workers reported that Joong-ki, during some recordings, seemed lost in thought. Some days he arrived excited, ready to inspire the crew, but on others he remained quiet, reserved, almost inaccessible. To those unfamiliar with his reality, this went unnoticed. But those who paid close attention noticed an internal struggle going on. Media experts point out that actors often face immense pressure, fan expectations, million-dollar contracts, and the constant scrutiny of reporters. In Joong-ki's case, this burden was even greater. He knew that any slip-up could turn into a devastating headline. Therefore, he preferred to remain silent, shielding himself with an invisible wall against the curiosity of others. But this burden wasn't just about fame or exposure. It was also about something intimate, personal, that he believed he couldn't share with anyone. Keeping this secret seemed to him the only way to keep smiling in front of the cameras. The public saw only the glow, but behind it lay a silent battle, capable of changing the entire narrative when it came to light. Everything seemed under control for Song Joong-ki. His silence, his skill at deflecting questions, and his carefully constructed image of perfection seemed to be working. But, as with every great story, the unexpected happened. In a routine interview broadcast to millions of people, a detail slipped out, a short, almost imperceptible sentence, but one that didn't go unnoticed by the watchful eyes of the media. He had been asked about his routine outside of filming. Normally, Song Joong-ki would respond lightly, with jokes or quick comments. But this time, his expression changed. Instead of the practiced smile, he wore a distant, heavy look. His words came out vague, "Things aren't always as they seem." This answer, simple to some, raised an alarm for seasoned journalists. Speculation immediately began. What did he mean by that? Was he hiding personal issues? Was something bigger going on behind the scenes? The phrase made headlines on entertainment websites and, soon, was being discussed on fan forums worldwide. This unexpected slip was like a crack in a door he'd kept locked for years. Gradually, other clues began to emerge. Former colleagues recalled moments when he seemed fragile. Reporters revisited past interviews, searching for contradictions, and each new piece of the puzzle made it clearer. There was a deep and shocking truth waiting to be revealed. The wait is over. After years of speculation, watchful eyes, and minor slip-ups in interviews, the truth about Song Joong-ki has finally come to light. And contrary to what many imagined, this wasn't a common scandal or a media-manufactured controversy. The secret he kept for so long was much more human and, at the same time, much more impactful. Investigations by journalists close to him confirmed Joong-ki had gone through an extremely difficult period in his personal life, marked by silent battles that he preferred to face away from the cameras. These were moments of fragility, intense pressure, and pain that could have shaken even the strongest. For an actor who was always seen as the perfect star, admitting these vulnerabilities didn't seem like an option. According to sources, he believed that if he revealed everything at the height of his career, he risked being judged, losing contracts, and even disappointing fans who saw him as an inspiration. So he chose the most painful path, facing his true life in silence, hiding behind smiles. When the truth was revealed, the impact was immediate. It wasn't just about a famous actor, it was about a human being who, despite being admired worldwide, also carried fears, doubts, and wounds. The secret, finally exposed, didn't diminish his greatness. On the contrary, it brought even more respect and admiration. And that's precisely where the shock lies. The man who seemed invincible showed that, behind the star image, there's a real person who suffers, struggles, and overcomes. A revelation that would forever change the way everyone saw Song Joong-ki. When the truth about Song Joong-ki finally came to light, the entertainment world came to a standstill. Fans accustomed to seeing the actor as a symbol of perfection were unprepared to deal with the revelation that, behind the spotlight, he was fighting silent battles. The reaction was immediate and deeply divided. On social media, thousands of comments appeared in a matter of minutes. Some expressed feeling deceived. How could he hide this for so long? They asked. For these fans, it was as if their idealized image had been shattered. Others, however, saw the revelation completely differently. This just proves he's human like us, they wrote, showing even more affection and support. Pop culture experts have highlighted that this contrast is common when idols reveal their vulnerabilities. While some audiences expect absolute perfection, others identify even more when they discover that these stars also carry pain and fear. Joong-ki was no different. Newspapers in Korea and around the world covered the revelation on their front pages, calling it the truth that changes everything. Television shows analyzed every detail, and fan forums turned into emotional debates about the actor's life. The divide between surprise, disappointment, and empathy demonstrated just how deeply Joong-ki held a special place in the public's hearts. In the end, one thing became clear: the exposed secret didn't dim Song Joong-ki's brilliance. On the contrary, it revealed a human side many never imagined they'd see. And even among those shocked, the certainty grew that his story was far from over. After the initial shock, a new interpretation began to gain traction among fans and experts. Song Joong-ki's silence wasn't just fear or escape, but rather a testament to his strength. By hiding his pain, he wasn't trying to deceive the public, but rather to protect himself and the image he'd built with so much effort. It was as if he were saying, "I need to win first, before I show the world what I'm going through." Entertainment analysts point out that this stance is rare. Many artists, when pressured, eventually give in and reveal their struggles in search of understanding. Joong-ki, on the other hand, believed that opening his heart at the wrong time could destroy his career, and most importantly, hurt those who had always seen him as an inspiration. Therefore, he chose the more difficult path, carrying the burden in silence until he was ready to speak. Close colleagues said this silence was a shield, but also a form of discipline. He continued to smile on set, delivering impeccable performances, even when internally he was facing dark days. He never wanted fans to associate his pain with the character they loved, said one professional who worked alongside him. This self-control, far from being merely a strategy, demonstrated impressive resilience. Joong-ki transformed his vulnerability into strength, proving that behind the image of a perfect star lay a man capable of withstanding unimaginable pressures. And it was precisely this quiet strength that helped him rise again and, ironically, made him even more admired after everything came to light. When the truth about Song Joong-ki came to light, many believed his career would suffer an irreversible blow. After all, in the world of celebrities, any sign of vulnerability is often exploited to the limit by the media. But surprisingly, the opposite happened. The revelation, which could have tarnished his image, ended up further strengthening the actor's relationship with the public and even the entertainment industry. Experts say this was a watershed moment. On one side, there was the impeccable Song Joong-ki, a symbol of perfection and discipline. On the other, a real man emerged, with pain, challenges, and scars. This combination transformed his presence in front of the cameras. Fans and critics began to see even greater depth in his performances, as if each look carried not only technique, but also lived experience. Producers and directors, instead of turning away, became even more interested in him. The revealed truth didn't weaken him. It gave Joong-ki a new layer of authenticity. Many claim that afterward, he became a more complete actor, capable of conveying emotions that previously seemed unattainable. And the audience responded warmly. Even those initially shocked eventually came to respect his courage and resilience. What was seen as a risky secret became an even stronger bridge between him and his fans. The impact was clear. Far from being just a star, Song Joong-ki began to be recognized as a human, vulnerable artist. And for that very reason, even greater, Song Joong-ki's story didn't end with the revelation of his secret. On the contrary, it was from that moment on that a new phase began, both for his career and his relationship with the public. What once seemed like a weakness became a powerful lesson not only for fans, but for everyone who followed his journey. The actor, who was always seen as perfect, showed that deep down, no one is untouchable. Everyone faces silent battles, even those who seem to have everything under control. By hiding his pain, Joong-ki believed he was protecting his image. But when the truth came out, he proved something even greater, that vulnerability doesn't diminish anyone. On the contrary, it can become a source of strength and inspiration. Psychologists and cultural analysts say this revelation helped humanize the celebrity, bringing him even closer to his fans. After all, if even a global star can suffer, make mistakes, and overcome them, it means anyone can also rise after difficult times. Today, Song Joong-ki's image is not just that of a talented actor, but also that of a resilient man who overcame in silence and shared his truth at the right time. And that's what makes his story so powerful. It goes beyond fame, touching the hearts of those who have faced challenges. And now, the question remains, do we expect too much perfection from our stars, forgetting that they're human too? Leave your opinion in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because there are still many impactful stories from the world of K-drama to reveal.